spaces between the horses. Keep it pretty speedy. You're looking for the open spaces. You're not asking for anything. So Ant and Terry, pick up your tempo. Yep, Terry, Ant, pick up your tempo. We can start converging. Wow. I'm just going to wait until everyone's here. I love that. It's so cute. And you guys can start converging.
Well, Tanner's stirring up some stuff.
Found out somebody can move. Chinook, of course.
Your horse followed me.
I saw one. Pied Piper of Houston.
He was just like, hey, you're the lady from this morning.
Jasper.
And let's all just come in.
Because all the horses are coming.
Yeah. Paula, you said this. Do you want me to do, what do you need me to do?
Just a minute, hold off.
Hold off what? Oh, sorry. Okay, this is awkward.
This is mystery. Juliet, that's mystery. That's Ant.
Oh,
Mystery.
I guess I didn't notice all
That's
the
one who
little-
was at the rail.
Yeah,
Yes,
got
it's
two
okay.
black ankle socks.
Okay, guys, sorry, this is going to be an awkward, I find this very awkward. So that was great. It's interesting to think about. I think the tempo that you choose walking with is very important. If you're walking like this, I think you're in a contrasting tempo. I think you need to be at about the tempo that Mystery was walking. Yeah? Otherwise, there's something slightly menacing. And try and just come in with the sheer, desire to go into the open spaces rather than engage with them. Yeah? So that's what's going to get them moving a little bit more. Yeah. Just
Do it again?
No.
don't worry about it. Just come over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he will step on you.
Yeah, he does step.
Oh, yeah?
He's been young enough, and he has no idea of personal space.
Good boy. Good.
I give it 3 seconds.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go get these chairs. Okay. Easier said than done.
Of the Dancing with
Well,
Horses
it's not that. I can't
workshop.
get them apart. Oh, okay.
At Dunrovin Ranch, just getting set up, and then I believe Joanna
Now, is this the right spot,
there
do you think?
There's a camera right there.
is going
Oh,
to do an intro
all right.
So I was thinking you right here.
Okay.
so that you
Need to be back
can
further.
get let in on what we're doing today. The group started with a walking score, moving into the open spaces between the horses who were freely grazing out in the pasture. And if you're just joining us, my name is Alyssa Mayer. I co-created the Dancing with Horses Challenge, an online program with Joanna Mendel-Shaw, my accomplished colleague, who, if you
I
haven't
already
met her
did
yet,
the introduction, but I will again.
Alyssa is introducing her.
Okay.
Here we go.
Hello, all. I'll introduce myself again. Could somebody come and sit here? Aunt, do you mind coming? Thank you. I'm Joanna Mendel-Shaw, and we're here at Dunrovin Ranch in Lolo, Montana. Delighted to be doing this webcam experiment with Alyssa Mayer, who is in Oak Ridge, Oregon. All right, we have some horses in our midst.
We are in theirs. Oh my goodness. It is their pasture.
It's okay, just,
I prefer to stand.
oh, okay. Okay.
Doggy can be a little much to take.
In anything that we do with horses, of course, safety comes first. So these horses are very interested in participating in what the group is doing out here in their pasture. But right now the group is just going to make sure they feel safe and comfortable before
So Paula,
launching.
one thing you can do is a little bit of musical chairs. So you can sit in that chair. And if he comes over to you, then you have to change and go to that chair. And so that becomes the if then. And he's going to do it again. So just get up, move around him.
Monty, step on into the circle.
All right.
There's grass elsewhere. Come on now. Come on. Come on. Take him with you. That's right.
Yeah, Uncle Monty, take Augie.
Excellent.
Okay.
So in my
problem.
choreographic book, this is an opportunity not to stand our ground and assist, but if we weren't on camera, I would suggest we all pick up our own chairs and we simply move around the pasture and let the horses create our movement. So the if is them and the then is us.
Just move within camera range.
Yeah, we could. So you want to try that? Okay.
Do
So
it, Joe.
I'll do this as a score, guys. I'm gonna wait, please. I'm gonna do this as a score. I'm always at the apex here, and you have to shape yourselves in the same configuration wherever I put the chair. Here we go.
Augie, you apparently have to stand there. That's
And again.
So our little herd of humans is moving
We're
around.
gonna keep
till they
doing this
find
for a while, okay?
Hey, move your butt where my chair goes. I've got to stay in the same apex.
This horse is hysterical.
So rather than telling the horse to get lost or sending him away from the group, from the herd of humans,
He actually thinks this is a huge game. Okay, so
they're
now,
just moving.
you guys, I'd like you to all stand, and we're gonna do brain gym as big as we can.
Now I have all these flies in the horse poop.
Yeah, we kind of ended up in the latrine.
Okay, you want to move one more time?
Yeah, one more time.
Yeah, okay. I have a little bit of luggage here.
This is a great example of the horses being allowed or invited to choreograph our movements. So let's remember, this is not a training exercise. We're not trying to shape the horse's behavior.
Ready? We're just going to stand. Right hand and ear, 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 shoulder, 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 knee, 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 ankle, ankle, ankle. Is that okay, Aunt? And knee, 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 and shoulder, 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 and ear, 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 ear. And now I'd just like to move side, side for a second, because we're gonna add legs, and I want you to feel the circle, so you can feel us moving the circle together. As you shift, you're gonna pick the leg up. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Keep that going. Ready to touch your knee, and touch, 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 touch. Keep the knees going, and go to your shoulder, and shoulder. Perfect, guys. Ear, 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 back to knee, 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 and move. So this is a two-part score. I'm not going to face the camera this time.
Now we're like, where do we go?
That's perfect. 5, 6, 7, 8, and ear, 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 and shoulder, 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 shoulder. Send it out on the horizontal, out, 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 and knee, 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 and toward the ankle. You don't have to touch it. Ta, ba, ba, and side, side. Now I'd like to close this up and come gently towards this horse. Side, 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 side. Very good.
Do that again.
And if we can just reform, I'm just going to flip it. Sure, 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 sure. It's annoying, right? Yes. So this is a perfect example of the horse creating the score. And we work with that all the time. But we would have more choreography that we have to go into the field with. And I came in with an agenda, which is to teach you something else. But I love this because it's so much fun. Okay. Is this one of yours?
No,
Water?
I have nothing.
No, nothing? Okay. Okay.
Nope.
No, nothing?
No.
Okay, great.
I know.
Where's his mom?
Well, I have a suggestion that we could share with Joe for how to deal with this without telling the horses to get lost. If we could
Yeah,
Dealing with this,
technology.
horses to get lost.
great.
And that would be to just set up a simple boundary. If the horses are welcome to hang out on the outside of your circle or your semicircle, but they're not as invited to hang out on the inside of the semicircle.
So we invite them to hang out on the outside of the circle, but they are not invited on the inside.
Okay. Does she have a suggestion for this little guy here?
Anything for Augie in particular, or Stacey? They can't hear me. They can hear you though.
Suggestion would be if someone had a
So
small
what I'm
training
going to
stick or a
suggest
tool.
is the next part of our score is, oh, I'm sorry.
He's making a suggestion. I'm sorry. her to make it again.
A tool would allow you to stay in your chair
Say it again.
while also filling the center of the circle with energy so
Just
that the
ask,
horse
they
would
can only
feel.
hear you, they can't
like
hear Paula, so.
So a tool would be to stay in our chairs, but fill the center with the energy that discourages them from.
Okay, so stay in your chairs and fill this. Okay, I don't even know how to do that.
Move to like more
This is where having a,
Yeah.
a training stick or something would be very handy.
Yeah.
But be careful not to trap the horse inside the circle, everyone.
Oh, this is
Careful,
great.
careful.
Try moving your chair.
Try going forward to it.
Yep.
You back right up when I do that. Stand up, Ann.
Well, let's tell them not to trap the horse inside the circle.
First, we got to get them out.
Cool.
Maybe if it's a whole circle, it doesn't have to
Yeah, I'd like to close up the circle. So if we can close up that gap right there.
You can probably just leave it.
Great.
You can probably still see her.
Yeah. Cool. So that was a perfect example of using what the expected horse behavior. And if it had been a company of dancers, we would have come in with some of these strategies in place. And there might have been one person calling, because if you have too many people making decisions, and it could even be someone remote like Alyssa, and she goes, I'm calling the circle score now. I'm calling the brain gym score now. Move the circles 10 feet, which would be amazing fun to do all the choreography like that, but we would come in with a repertory, a pre-existing repertory. Are you okay with the horse there?
Of course.
Great. So I'm going to carry on with yesterday, planes in space, sagittal, horizontal. By the way, we were using a lot of horizontal with brain gym just now.
One, move, one, move.
Did you get nipped?
Just at some point, you gotta set your own
I
boundaries.
don't believe that's going to work, but
Yeah, you
nice
do
try.
that.
So if you guys all fill the horizontal plane with energy periodically
fill the horizontal
from your chair,
Yeah.
periodically from our chairs.
all together, rather than one person doing it, if everyone used their arms together, I think that would give the horse a very clear visual and
So
energetic
sometimes
boundary.
the sagittal is useful, like right
She was
there.
suggesting we all of us do our horizontal energy instead of just one person. And
By the way, that's vertical energy.
Oh,
That's good. Well, I don't know. Maybe that's what she wanted.
well, she said horizontal.
So this way. We basically block it.
There he goes.
So what was interesting about that is I was using sagittal, Ant was using horizontal, and I'm wondering if you just have at your fingertips the possibility of changing the plane in space so that you stay with the same action, but you have more than one choice for the plane. I think that that might be useful. Would you like me to do the same here? Okay. So planes in space, useful. Actually, that's a great example of how it's useful.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the third? It was
Sagittal. So I actually decided to use sagittal. I don't, when I'm like today, when I'm just creating a lot of energy in the round pen, I'm using sagittal, vertical, horizontal, and tons of, if you know Laban terminology, tons of transversals, tons of them. Yeah, so I'm just filling the space with a ton of energy, but it's never directed at the horse, which was a strategy that Karen Rolfe taught us. That will eventually, if you're in a round pen, the horse will figure that the best place to be is behind you. I didn't push it that far today because I actually didn't want that kind of a relationship with your horse. I wanted you to see what you got to see. So what I loved about what happened today is that we were at the mercy of the horses. That doesn't mean that we're lacking leadership, but as a dancer, I actually want them to have some sort of a say. And when I need to, I'm going to pull out my leadership. So we did an if-then. If-then. This was a perfect example of if-then. The horses are doing the if. The human beings are doing the then. So I was just down at the Jessup's Ranch, and because I think they're horse trainers, so they wanted, and they've known me since our Pirelli days, and I think Rachel really wanted me to do the usual, if I do this, then you're gonna trot, and then you're gonna canter, and then you're gonna turn and face me, and you're gonna back up. And I just didn't want to start the conversation that way, because we'd gone out into the field to get this fabulous horse, and there was all this really interesting conversation going on. And I didn't want to kill it. But of course, the minute you put the horse in the round pen, they're like, it reminds me of a ballet dancer where they all go, okay, tell me what to do. I'm ready.
Ready position.
I'm ready. I used to take a lot of Graham technique when I was a kid with Pearl Lake. And we would sit on the floor with our soles of our feet together, and she'd come into the room and she'd go, and we go. It started the Graham warm-up, and then you'd go through this whole thing, and we were basically obedient little movers. And of course, as a young dancer, I sort of loved that because it was a kind of mastery. And the Horton technique, which is Alvin Ailey's core technique, is full of that. And they have names for everything, and everyone knows it. But it is a kind of obedience.
Well, we're back to the foundational like we talked about yesterday.
So with horses, my feeling is that you need a lot more than that. You need what that stuff does for you, which is really ability to change direction and move through the space and use your upper body with strength and authority. But you don't need to be regurgitating a plie next to a horse or a grand battement. To me, that's not dancing with the horse at all. So, any questions about yesterday at all? We did if-then, we did planes in space, we did a grazing score.
We did the three-person herd thing.
And herding, which I'd like to do again. Yeah. And you guys were amazing, by the way. I have done herding with people who, the minute you hand the walking to them and they go, I don't know what to do. You go, we're just walking. This is a walking score. We're just walking.
I was with proficient walkers yesterday.
I was wondering if I could get a shade horse too.
Yeah, no, you may
Hey,
not.
buddy.
Juliet and I have the same.
I know,
We
we're
have to be
like,
in the middle.
you'd have to come here.
So I wanted to do a little bit with hands, and with the fact that our hands have more nerve endings to our brains than any other part of our body. And I want to do a little weight sensing, and normally I would do it with a partner so that you actually are leading skeleton to skeleton, which is super fun. But because touch is not something we're doing these days, are you comfortable if you pass the ball to another person, or do you not want to? Can I have hand sanitizer? Okay. So,
Oh, we have some if anybody wants.
pardon?
We have hand sanitizer if you want me to get it.
Is anyone uncomfortable with touching a ball that someone else has touched?
Well, I don't know. This will be the first time, but I'm willing. You want me to get some?
Well, if we have hand sanitizer and we all do it, then we're all sanitized.
We have it.
And then we know, yeah, if we have it, we should.
Actually, Paula, if you wouldn't mind getting some, I'm just gonna, these have been cleaned, and I'd like you to just pass the bag around and choose one. Sorry, you're still passing the bag.
Oh, no.
Right.
Matches my boots.
Hands off your face until your
So
sanitizer
you're
runs.
washing.
Martha, thank you so much.
I'm gonna pick one for her.
Good.
She can pick her own after if she changes her mind.
Great. I'm gonna do this. So, I'd like you to just put it in your dominant hand. I'm very right-handed. And I'd like you to close your eyes and just sense the weight. And then just change hands and notice if there's a difference in your weight sensing. Isn't that interesting? Yes, that one is really puzzling, right?
Especially because you switch and it doesn't really feel that different.
So does I feel a huge difference. I don't
with this one.
claim that everyone has to,
I
but
don't feel a huge difference, but
but I'm very right-handed, and so it definitely feels. So I want to talk a little bit about something that you guys are doing so beautifully already, but I'm going to encourage it even more, which is really shaping, not grabbing, but shaping your fingers around. Shaping with horses feels very important to me, so that we're not this way, we're this way. Does that make sense? I'm going to do it again because it's what I'm doing in my core that's interesting. When you touch like this, there is a tendency to just touch the edges of the bubble. And by the way, I have a problem with the notion of bubbles because actually I think it's more porous than that. And when we think about bubbles, we tend to think about firm edges, and I'd like to think that the edges are more porous, but as you wish. So when you're shaping with your hands, there's a tendency to shape with your torso as opposed to that. Yeah? The shaping with the torso. Does that make sense? It isn't necessarily this, but because my hand is shaping this way, I am feeling that. So what we're doing is translating what we feel in the ball. And what I feel in the ball, in this ball, by the way, is this. So I'd like to know if you can, without saying any words, can you feel that ball and then translate into your body what you feel?
oh, this is my.
It's kind of light. You might want a different one. She has a bag of them.
I don't know, what are we doing?
Hold on for a second. I think we do this after we're done.
Monty.
Oh, are you okay?
No, I'm fine. He was going after a fly.
He was going
I know
after
he
a
was.
fly.
You gotta stay in that.
Here's a great opportunity for someone to ask the whole circle to energize it as
So
a group.
what we're doing,
Just so she suggested this is an opportunity. Could you say it again, Alyssa?
This is an opportunity for someone who's feeling crowded by the horses to ask everyone to help energize the circle and perhaps create a little more space. You can
So
feel
just a
comfortable.
suggestion that if someone is feeling crowded by a horse, that we all help to really leave you. I'm fine with him.
okay. So I'm going to follow this lead. And what we're doing is
Fine? Yeah. Crowding you.
feeling the shape of this ball. And you have a really interesting one because it's very weightless. Yeah? And I'm asking each person to describe in their bodies, not through words, what this ball feels like. So for mine, it was this. And when you get this ball, because we're going to pass it, you will understand why. It's deceptively heavy. Can you just express in your body what you feel? Anything for you? Awesome. Very cool. That's a very hard one. That ball is very hard. Yeah, it's like working with a weightless human being. Yeah, good. Beautiful. So take the ball, put it in your left hand. Would you like us to move? Move him?
No, I mean, just because I can't see.
Yeah, well then I think we should.
Sorry, buddy.
Excellent. Okay. You're going to put the ball in your right hand. You're going to put your left hand open like this. You're going to look to your right and place the ball in your partner's hand. Very good. And you have a different ball. And feel the difference. Yeah? I try and really get that sensation of the weight and texture in my whole body. Yeah. Good. And put it in your right hand, open your left, and your only responsibility is to put this ball, so you have to look to your right. I hope you can do that, Juliet. In your partner's hand. Ready? And go. Awesome. Oh my God.
You know what's cool is receiving it without seeing it.
Exactly. So I want to point out to you that I'm trying to move away from words and I'm trying to move away from eyes. Whoa. This is really... And put the ball in your right hand and pass. And pass. Now I'm going to just turn it into a score. And is right here, just with two hands. I don't care if your elbows are up or down. And pass is that. And pass. And pass. And pass. Whoa. And pass. Oh my God. And pass. And pass. And pass. And reverse. Wait. Reverse. Put the ball in your left hand. Pass. And pass. And pass.
My bad.
And pass. And pass. Excellent. So aside from this, makes me think of Charlie Moulton all the time. Because there's a choreographer, he's Canadian. Shall we?
This turn's coming.
Oh, it's more like this.
Good boy. There's a choreographer who does passing scores with like 100 people, 20 people. And one of the things that's beautiful about this score is you only have responsibility for one thing, which is that. If we all do that, we will be taken care of. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Yeah, which I find interesting. So let's try it again, and we're going to do a left-handed pass. So you're going to put it in your left hand. You're going to look to your left. Pass. And pass. And pass. Now indulge me. Look at the ball. Look at your hand. Look at the ball. Look at your hand. Look. Got it? So really look, my only desire is that Aunt really gets the ball, that I'm not sort of going like this. And pass. And pass. And pass. Very good.
She's doing a hard thing. She's catching the ball like this without looking at it.
Oh,
Yeah, instead of doing it like that.
can I see what
Give her a pass.
See? She goes like that.
oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
I think the person it's hard for is you, because you're aware that we'll all,
She just puts her hand. She knows.
there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with the difference, but it does make you have to do something different from what you can feel everyone else doing. So it's a kind of multi-tracking.
You can say that.
So I just want to address that for 1 second, the notion of creative. And it reminds me of Jesse Peters saying to me, stop all the dancing, Joe. I think the creativity with horses has to be about the task at hand, which is connection. And this is not a criticism, but I think it would be easier for now if you are working this way. So Juliet doesn't have to change what dimension she's working in. That's all. However, we are now going to do your version. So look at the ball. We're going to do a left-handed pass. And you're doing it like this?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, here we go. And pass. And
Oh, it's hard.
pass,
That's why I found
and
so good at it.
pass, and
And we're supposed
pass,
to look at the ball and
and pass. And your focus is on the ball the whole time, and
I
rest.
see.
Yes, very good.
I ended up with 3.
Juggle.
So to me, there's a lot of horsemanship in this exercise. Timing, weight sensing, multi-tracking, use of focus. Yeah, so this would be an example of something we would do in the studio that trains the skill sets we need to be out here in the pasture with them. Yeah, good. Any comments, questions, thoughts as I pass this around? And then pass this around. That was funny. Let me see if it will work like this.
Another skill set.
Thank you, Aunt.
Have to figure out a way to incorporate using hand sanitizer into the
Yeah.
skills, into the thing.
So this is a whatever. We were working on if-thens that were whatever. I want to try an if-then in a duet form where we're doing a little bit of what I was doing with the horse today. So Terry and I are going to work together, and I'm experimenting. I've never done this before. I'm going to do an if, and you're going to do a then. If, then. You get to do the next if, I get to respond. Okay? If, then. If, then.
Same one?
No, this is a new one.
Oh. No, am I repeating from the beginning?
Well, I didn't, did I? Very good. You have to give me one.
New one?
Well, what you did before would be good.
Okay, let's revisit that Terry has really bad ADHD, so. Ant's over there like, good luck with that, Joanne. I've forgotten.
It doesn't matter. So I'm trying to set her up for success. So I'm not going to insist because I can tell that when I do this, it gets different. That doesn't matter. My investment is the conversation. Okay? Can you develop a conversation that has 5, we've done it already, 5 sentences. There is an alpha to begin with, and now I'm going to reverse. I'm going to make Terry the alpha. So there's a certain kind of accountability for, and I'm going to be incredibly cooperative. So with your own partner, you're facing. This is not a mirroring exercise. This is a conversation. Anything.
So, but before we start, so I will do,
You're making a
The
gesture
5.
proposal.
and then you are.
I'm going to
then-
respond
And then I'm going to do a different one.
if you wish.
So,
Okay.
am I
Okay.
You don't have to,
No,
but
I
if you
got it.
give me the first one, I will
5.
probably be really good and give you what you asked me for.
Joanna?
Yeah.
Am I to understand that it's me and then her, and then her, and then me?
It is, for
then you,
now,
and then-
yes. Yes, absolutely.
So when do we switch back and forth? So say that again. We were.
So we'll demonstrate.
Okay.
This time Terry's going to start the conversation.
And then I responded, oh, yeah, okay.
That was 5, right?
That was good.
Okay, so one person leads 5.
Yes.
Okay, that's what we were doing.
5 leads, 5 responses.
Okay, so this is interesting because I'm demonstrating with somebody who's still learning. Just do 5 different ones. Terry does something.
So 5, right?
That was more than 5.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for 5 from you.
Oh, 5 each.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. It's not 1, 2, 3,
okay.
4, 5. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I got it.
Oh,
Okay,
all at
okay.
once.
Or it's really
Right.
one, it's really like 1, 1, 2.
That's exactly it.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
But then
want
the
the
second- the other
opportunity
person
to
starts
watch these guys.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, let's just go. Let's just go everywhere.
I don't know if I can.
First 3.
And then I can't remember. Did I do this?
No.
Oh, this. And then I went the other way.
So could you show us, oh, I'm sorry. Could you guys show us some of your conversation? Now you're just going to have the conversation with the elements you've made.
The same, we can do whatever, right?
Not whatever, with the elements that you made.
How you felt it.
Anyone can start.
Oh, okay.
You have material.
I don't remember.
Good, very nice. By the end, you were really listening to each other. In the beginning of the conversation, you were sort of throwing stuff out on the table. Yeah, can you see it change?
Yeah.
This is what you want to do with the horse. Now, most of the time we take out our little tool and say, do this. And if they're obedient, they sort of get that, and then they can choose to acquiesce or not. For us as dancers, I want to create different language. Yeah. So in our conversation that we were demonstrating, if Terry is the alpha, she's the horse. So she could be totally in control of my movement. Totally. But if you want me to do something I did before, you need to remember how you asked for it. That's
Every
where
time I see whatever she did, I have the
Exactly.
same response.
yeah, ideally.
So you don't want any mirroring. You
No.
want like one person to make their complete movement,
That's right.
and then the next person does their complete movement because it makes the ask easier to remember.
Yes. Number one. Number two, yesterday when we did if-thens, you did multiple movements, which meant that we weren't quite sure when it ended. They were beautiful, and I didn't want to correct you. It'd be sort of like this, and this, and this. Well, that's already 3 different movements. Part of what we're trying to train ourselves to do is be very clear about the language we're speaking, which is a non-verbal
So
language.
even like this versus this is actually 2. Like come forward
No,
and
you
come
could say
back.
this is the preparation, but this is what I want you to listen to. Got it? But this is what I want you to listen to. But this is what I want you to listen to. I just changed it. Can you see that? That matters to them. That really matters to them. So if you are unaware, I'm adding something new to the pot here. If you are unaware of the content of your preparation, and if your preparation to them has content, you have already said a multiple sentence, which is, for me, the value of release. Because can I be in released energy until the moment where I am stating? And this is where this little girl, she's dancing everything. So for the horse, she's just basically going, whatever, yeah? If I make this really important, then it's not completely clear what the directive is. There's nothing wrong with that movement. But now I'm accountable for communication. So for many dancers, and I want you to understand, this has nothing to do with you in the horse world, but it has everything to do with dancers. Because they bring a fair amount of ego to the page. And they go, watch me do this. You can't do that with a horse. Because the horse thinks that this is important. And then they don't understand why you're not. Why isn't the horse listening? Well, because all you really care about is yourself. It is the communication. So it's the moment where you get that I get it. That I'm not just reacting to you, but I hear you. Okay?
And that happens by breaking it down, like not like.
No, that happens by listening. It is physical listening. That is what we're practicing. But most of us don't wait for someone to finish a sentence. And by the way, that happens in conversation too. You are so busy figuring out what you're gonna say that you're not actually listening to what's being said. And that's happening a lot these days. Yeah. So, hello, here we go, guys.
This is a little off the point, but
Probably
I think it's
not.
helping. Somebody told me that they responded really well to breathing. So whatever horse was over here, I was going, and you know, that's like a rest spot for them, or they can relax. They see you relax. Is that right?
It could be, but it also could be if I go, I'm going to do something for Terry now. My breathing is part of the information. It's a little bit like, and now pay attention. So now I'm going to ask you to do the conversation with sound. So we're going to have a little bit of sound fun. It is still a conversation. It's a nonsense conversation, and you don't have to remember. But I do want you to respond. Have fun. Here it goes. We'll do one, and then you'll do one, and then you'll do one. That's the point you want to get at, that you're making each other laugh and that you're really listening. I can tell the moments where she goes, that little nanosecond where she's going, I don't know what to do. Part of the skill that we're working on is something Liz Lehrman calls first thought, best thought. First thought, best thought.
We're here, bud.
Mickey just chased him over here.
This horse is the blind one, right?
Well, he has one partially blind on the left, and then Chinook is.
That's why I was like, I'm here,
There's
bud.
two of them that have partial blind?
This is gone.
Oh, God, I didn't think it looked like Chinook.
Thank you.
They just meant
No, I'm just, yeah, ADHD is a bitch.
Well, but it can be to your advantage too, because you have high noticing skills. Yeah.
Well,
So
I made it to 60 so far, successfully.
there you go. Can you guys do one? Yeah. Your objective is to crack each other up.
Well,
Whoa! Sorry, bud.
Good. Very good. At that moment, you're really talking to each other. Yeah. Good. Can we do another one? And saying nothing is also perfectly legitimate.
Staring contest.
I would like to urge you to not just mirror. There's a little bit of mirroring going on, which is you do this, I'll do a variation. Let's not do a theme and variation. Let's really do something where the conversation isn't going, it's an A, it's a B, it's an A, it's a B. Oh, A prime, B prime, A double prime, B double prime. Because the conversation isn't progressing. There's nothing wrong with that, but now I would like to see if you can make it progress.
Okay.
And you don't have to stay in your chairs.
Ha! I win.
Beautiful. I love the idea of human beings in all their absurdity with a horse present that's just going, I don't know, these humans. Good.
It was hard to not mirror, actually.
It's very hard not to mirror.
Because
Yeah.
I found myself wanting to, and I saw him wanting to for a second. Like, it was hard to break that.
Well, because you catch his energy, and you have to change your energy.
This is a really great comment because you're trying to work with a certain level of empathy. The beginning of your sentence is the repeat of the end of the sentence, which is exactly what you should do with the horses. But if you want the subject to progress, so we just did something different as really great territory. It's like you saying, here it is, and now can I shape it further?
Right.
Yeah, so I can take it a little further. Otherwise, it becomes really just a sound dance, which has no content, which isn't bad. Tons of choreography has no content because that's all it's doing, is just playing with the same two ideas for a half an hour. I prefer choreography that moves forward and something changes. But I just upped the ante on you, so that was great. Yeah.
Well, like this morning, she was doing this movement, and at first the horse would do something and she would do something and the horse would do something, and then he started getting engaged, like, hey, do that thing you were doing.
And she gave me, the horse gave me the cue. That's when it's important to remember what it was, because if I go, cool, I don't know what I did, the possibility for conversation ends there. So again, one of the skill sets that we're working on in the studio is our ability to do what's called logging. Yeah.
Because he definitely wanted her to repeat what she was doing. Like, hey, lady, do that thing again.
It took me a while to figure out what that thing would be, because so much of what I was doing was possibly too close to horsemanship or too far away from anything he had ever experienced, that he was in a no man's land. But I had to pay, this is what's interesting, I have to pay attention to the moment where the horse goes there. And even with two people, guys, and this is something that's interesting to me as a dancer, dancers will improvise forever. And it could be absolutely meaningless. They're sort of dancing at each other. When it's really connected, it's different, but we're consummate fakers. And when you asked me this morning why I started this work, it's because dancers are fakers. They can fake it. And I didn't want to fake it. So in the studio, I wanted to set the stakes as high as they were. And we used to bring babies into the studio. And you could not pick the baby up, And you couldn't do any peekaboo. You had to engage the baby. And the minute that baby didn't want to do it anymore, you had to stop. So we were practicing horsemanship with the babies because we wanted the stakes that high. So we've devised ways of trying to create high stakes in the studio without hurting each other. Yeah. Oh, that is so sweet. So now, Juliet, this is an if. Could you follow through? And I'd like you to do a duet with this horse.
Okay.
Now, don't think about dancing. Think about if then.
Yeah.
And you may not,
Well, I should,
or maybe we
think I
all
should
get to do it.
yeah, we should stay seated because he came over to us and if we
So
stand-
could you do a then if he's giving you an if? Beautiful. Great. I want to try something. Can everyone pick up their chair? We're going to rotate so that I'm with this horse. Ready, go. And my score didn't work.
I think it's intermission time.
It's intermission.
Oh,
He'll be
here
back.
comes another horse.
Mystery.
So what we could do if this was choreography, this is your horse. If,
He knows Terry well.
then. So I'm going to do a different score. And this is a circle score. We call it an Escher. So you need to just face in. We're going to do that score until a horse engages. The minute it engages with one of them, we all stop and it becomes a duet for as long as that lasts. Okay, so everybody is with me. So I want you to imagine this score is being watched from overhead, and we're like a beautiful kaleidoscope. By the way, I did that because it was suggested, because it's on the page, and she gets to say I meant to do that. Beautiful. Yeah, it's hard for you. I'm sorry. It's...
You're really far away.
Can you pull your chair in a little bit? Try to use your peripheral vision rather than looking at me. So just soften your glaze. I was using Juliet's suggestion of breath to try and help cue you for the change. Now, I want you to sense the spacing between hands. Thank you, Terry. Perfect. So this is another skill set, is sensing the size of the negative space between the bodies. Yeah. Good. Okay, there's 6 of us. We're going to do this in 2 circles. I'm going to stand. You're going to stand. You're going to stand. You guys stay seated. And can you face your chair really into the middle because you're the leader? Not bring it in, but face it in. So I want you to shape the circle so that you're feeling that inside circle, this is your leader, okay? Outside circle for now, I'm the leader and I've started. Look to inside the circle, do exactly what I'm doing. Just try following each other. So trust we have a team. I'm trying to warn you, so you have to keep. Juliet, you're following me. I have a person in front of me. You need a person in front of you. Don't follow me. Only my group follows me. And rest.
We didn't attract any horses with that.
This one.
Well, I think this one is very complicated, and because there is no flowing energy, our concentration is so much on each other. And not only that, but we've been out here for a while, so now nothing, everything means nothing. You know, we're not interesting.
We're part of the herd.
So comments, we call this an Escher score, based on the artist M.C. Escher, who did a lot of morphing and circular morphing. And because we have to choreograph full evenings in 5 days, we often use scoring mechanisms so that we can create choreography very fast. And we're improvising, but we understand how the score functions. This is an amazing score because you can partner people. You know, you can actually, I've done it with 5 tiers of circles so that it gets wonderfully complicated. Comments, anything.
Yes. So we're watching from our peripheral vision, but should we be watching our own movements? Like when we...
No, that's a great question. If you're watching, the leader can do that.
I was watching you.
Like
then,
with the ball.
Yeah. Like, so my question is, so you're doing...
No, that's a very different skill set.
Okay.
So this is what's interesting me, is what part of your brain you need to use to do each of these skills. And my feeling with the horses is there's a lot more complicated than we think it is. There's often you're multi-tracking. Often you're working now, but you also are working with an objective. There's just so much more you have to pay attention to. This is one of those scores we have to pay attention to a lot, and we're working with design. And as the leader, you did a fabulous job, by the way, I am taking care of you guys. So when I go like this and that, I want you to know that we're moving that way. So I'm strategizing ahead. if I have a rhythm, this is the hardest thing to get people out of a rhythm, because you're going to assume that I'm going to stay in that rhythm. So I need to help you by micro changing it.
And same with a horse.
This is all based on horsemanship. This particular exercise is sort of borrowed from Sean Curran, who was in Stomp for years. He's a fabulous dancer, but he was, yeah. And Sean is a rhythm man because he was an Irish step dancer, but he was very interested in the idea of how we morph rhythms and how we do counter rhythms. And good. So I'm throwing a lot at you. Some of what I'm throwing at you are the devices we use to choreograph, but for the most part, they're also a way of practicing skill sets we need with the horses. Questions, comments?
Just as the leader of our little triangle, I think it has direct parallels to horsemanship in that as the leader, at least,
Yes.
you're not just taking part, and once in a while, I would smooth out the thing that was happening in here. But
Fabulous.
like you
That's
said,
exactly it.
it's also my responsibility to know where we're going. So they didn't need to know, but I needed to be able to let them, allow them to follow, right?
Yes.
If it gets too fast, too complicated, they're just lost.
Exactly.
And that's lousy horsemanship. It's lousy leadership of
Yes. So
anything.
that is exactly so I highly recommend that we do it a couple more times, shorter duration, and each person gets to lead. Because you will really learn something about horsemanship. And I've done this exercise many times, and what happens is, because if it's not, even with dancers, they go, oh, it's my turn. Okay. And this is an answer to your question. Okay, here it is. You can't do that because you have to keep other people with you. So that answers your question. I could do that, but I need to be aware that if I send my energy out here,
They don't know what you're doing.
they're facing out. I need to help them. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and there's also a thing where, if you, like, for instance, I did almost entirely two-handed motions.
Which
So nobody had to try and keep track
Left,
of
right.
right and left.
Yeah.
We were all in here, we were all out here. There was none of this, going that way. No,
That was a great strategic decision.
make it easy to understand. They're more likely
Yes.
to follow.
Set you up for, this is exactly what I'm doing with the horses, but I have to set them up for success. Because if at the moment they feel that they're not with me, there's a part of them that's going to go, well, I don't want to do this. And because I'm not making them do anything.
Like this one, darn it, is with Paul.
They work together a lot.
Anything for you, Paula?
Well, yeah, truthfully, I'm still a little confused about when you were describing how this was one thing, because you were setting yourself up to get there, but that this
Got it.
was two. But I get that. But when I asked, so then you'd want to break it down for the horse, because you were saying, when you're trying to know when they understand what you're wanting them to do. And this tells them one thing, and if you follow it by that, they're like, well, which, and that's harder for the horse. And your response was, no, it's something about, no, not, it's not about breaking it down, it's about understanding. And I'm like, well, wait.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Sorry about that. My apologies. The no is not, that's actually
Well,
a
you
really
didn't say.
terrible response. Because the no doesn't acknowledge that you asked a really smart question, which it was. I need to be clear what portion of the movement is important to me. And if the preparation is important, then I'm going to call attention to it.
By your energy and the motion together?
Oh,
Or
well, I'm
just
doing
one
like
of-
6,000
Yeah,
things at
exactly.
once.
So
You can see
definitely
that.
would be energy.
I'm,
Well, I saw your energy.
But I'm
so-
trying not to confuse the horse.
if you want the horse to not see your preparation, if you want the horse to see your preparation, it's different.
But he can't see.
Well,
Yeah,
On that side, you can.
right.
Paula, we can address this
Could
in
definitely
the
see that.
horsemanship session
right.
as well.
because like I gotta move.
So I love the idea of using the word energy, but I would like to invite you to see if it means a number of different things. So energy is weight sensing. This bottle is empty. Energy is space. I'm actually spoking out from my center. I don't use all these words in my head, but I am aware of the fact that it's not just energy. There's timing, which is duration, tempo, speed. There's where it starts and where it's going in space. There's the weight quality. And there's even the flow. Yeah. All of those things.
Emotion,
Pardon me?
emotion,
Emo-
tension, emotion.
I can feel you trying to put it into a category up here.
Well, I mean, as another thing to project, as another, as another
That's a
aspect.
good question with animals, because there's always emotion, you know. If you're not with an animal, if you don't love animals, you know. Or you're not working with a horse, unless you're just a real mean dude or something. I don't know.
I think this conversation is spiraling into new directions. So I want to address this first. For me to call it emotion makes it about me. And I'm actually trying to make it not about me. So I'm talking about, this is a spoking action. This is a fluid spoking action. This is a fluid arcing action. This is a sudden, I'm literally taking emotion out of it, because the emotion is going to be what happens between me and the horse. If I start with a whole constellation of emotion, I am actually loading the conversation to be about me. And so I remember, here's a perfect example in the Pirelli training that was disturbing to me. They want to get timid women to engage with their strong weight. So they have them take a carrot stick and beat the crap out of a barrel and think about their mother-in-law. And for me, that is connecting strong weight with anger and vehemence. And the fact is that strong weight can be utterly joyful. But the difference is that when you're working with anger, your flow is really different. So for me, I try not to make it about emotion at all. Now that's me, Paula, that's really me. I really, really try and not make it about emotion. I just feel that it's, and the fact is we're bringing ourselves into it anyhow. But from an emotional point of view, I think if you're with a horse, you're working from a place, hopefully, of empathy, but I have seen plenty of people who are working from a place of wanting to be in control. So it's actually one reason I like leaving emotion out of it, because I think it makes it about you. But this, I'm speaking for myself. I'm not telling you what to do. Yeah.
No, that, feels right.
Yeah. So, we did a lot of different stuff. I want to do one more, if you're up for it. It's something that has no ask, although it could turn into having an ask.
Joe's demonstrating how to build one of the scores that we teach in the Dancing with Horses challenge. For those of you watching who haven't seen that yet, this is called an imprint score. She's using just a way to touch and move around the horse to create a pattern.
All I'm doing is building, it's exactly what we just did. I'm building 5 things that I do in relationship to the horse. This horse, it's a little harder because the horse is blind in one eye, but you certainly are using hands. And for me, there's no ask. You're just using the animal's body to create a phrase.
When you went under him right at the beginning, he turned. That was very, very interesting. And I don't know whether he just wanted to keep his good eye on you, or...
I think that might be part of it, is that I'm coming to here and he can feel it. So I'm doing a little bit of a contact dance right here with a very light touch and using that as my purchase to come under. And then there was a B here, so I'm gonna keep that in the score. And just build 5 things. Because it's based on touch, I want you to feel like you did with the balls, that there is a sense that you're sinking into not the thing. So if you do it as a thing, it could look like this. Thing 1, yeah. Thing 1, thing 2, thing 3. That's what she was doing this morning.
Don't forget your pirouette.
Exactly, exactly. Thing 1, thing 2, as opposed to take the time it takes. And my score right there is I have to keep my hand on the horse's body until I can feel some change. So it can be a tiny if then, but it has, you're hooking into the texture of the touch. And I would like you, if you could, to memorize it. And maybe because this is connected to touch, I always have to make sure my hearing aids are in, $6,000. I was teaching in Santa Fe and I lost one on the way to the bathroom and one of my students found it. So does this make sense, Terry? For you? And I think to memorize based on the texture of the touch, so you're really memorizing the touch.
Easier for me when I'm actually with the horse for whatever reason.
Well,
Always been easier.
there you go. Well, that's probably why you're a really good horsewoman. But so the objective is that you are going to memorize it. And when we did this score, we did it in a pasture, and each dancer, there were 3 women in red evening gowns. And they did this imprint score, and then the man in the company drove the horses away, but the score was still there.
They continued after the horse was gone.
Exactly. And then the 3 women used that material to create a trio. So that's basically what we're doing, except that instead of shoving the horses away, go to a horse, create it, and then we'll reconvene here. And I'm just going to ask you to try and do your score.
Oh, memorize our own.
Yes, please. Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah, and is it an if-then?
No, although it could turn into an if-then. The thing about if-then that's different is if it really is if-then, it could constantly change. And you're trying now to create a sequence. You could, however, if there is an if-then factor, you could do 1, 2, 1, 2. This could be anything. 3, 4. So you could have you could have a joker. Yes.
Wild card, yeah.
Okay. So go ahead, and I would suggest that you spend a little bit of time with the horse, not asking for anything and just hanging. And then if you could.
You lucky girl. He's already prepped. He's warmed
I
up
know,
and
yeah.
everything.
Do you want me to move the chair?
Yeah, I'm going to move the horse.
Oh, water bottle.
Paula, can you ask Alyssa if she wants to say anything?
She'll hear you, not me. I'm on mute.
Hi, Alyssa.
Hi,
Can you hear me?
Joe. I know you can hear
Alyssa,
me,
do you
but
want? We're going to do an imprint score now.
Yes.
Yes.
So this imprint
And,
score does not require anything from the horses. So you guys who are watching this,
could you
the
say that
horses
again,
can-
Alyssa?
This score, the imprint score, does not require anything from the horses. I'm actually talking to the viewer audience, not you,
Oh.
Joe.
She's just telling the viewers the imprint score does not require anything from the horses.
Right. So beautiful. Look at him.
Tell her that you're wondering if there's anything she wants to say to us, right?
Actually, Alyssa, this is really beautiful. They're fabulous. It's so lovely. Maybe when everyone comes back, you might have something to say. I'll just move the chairs. The flies are
Okay, got it, Joe.
easy.
Okay, got it. She says, okay, got it.
Okay. Paul, I'll just move the chairs.
We can talk to them, right?
Yeah. I'm going to narrate a little bit. So go ahead and just get started. This is an amazing group of humans. And Terry here in the pink shirt, it's just so beautiful watching her connection and the fact that she's going to have to move along with the horse to do this score. And for those of you who are watching, what I'm really enjoying is how each person is shaping their whole body empathetically into the movement. We talked a little bit about beginnings and endings. So this isn't about choreography. It's really about just being very conscious of the choice you're making in the moment. And the choices are being done through the hands. So if there's memorization, some of it is about how this feels. I am going to
I haven't actually started yet.
oh, okay, good. Aunt, do you have a sense of duration? Have you decided how long you hold things? Okay, cool.
Something about standing with your back to a horse that is,
A little creepy?
no, well, it's not what you expect to be doing.
Right. All of this is not what you'd expect.
Turning your back on such a powerful animal.
Yeah.
It's a real trust thing too. You know, so used to being on them and leading them and whatever, but when do you ever just lean on them backwards? It's a powerful thing to do. This is Rocket. Beautiful color.
What fabulous ears. You have fabulous ears. Look at those perfect ears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he and Whiskey actually are litter mates. They came from the same ranch
Uh-huh.
for several years.
Did your dance partner leave there?
Yeah. Left in the middle of the floor.
He seems to have latched on to me today.
Yep.
Somebody misses me riding him. I'd like to do again. Whiskey and I started out riding together, but then
This horse?
yeah.
Aw.
He was the first walking horse I've ever ridden. He wasn't the easiest to motivate, let's just say that. Part of my score incorporates, he has this bulge right here.
Oh, wow.
So I wanted, and it's, quite honestly, some days it's how I identify him from the other red horses. So I wanted to incorporate that in.
Oh, that's great.
His little knot.
So instead of just going over it, is there a way that you can really acknowledge the shape of that? It's a bummer when one of your things is the tail and then he's not moving the tail.
And he says, okay, 10 times is enough.
I'm telling you, Juliet, the dance world, how many times are we going to run this piece? I got it.
The end of my score. He got kind of energized, I think, maybe. Or maybe there's better grass over here.
You guys good?
Yeah, we are.
Bring it on in.
Monty, you haven't moved a bit. He is a fine old horse. He's the oldest horse in the herd. Friendliest too. According to Suzanne, you can put out with anybody.
And he carries big
Kids
loads
to
too.
grandparents. Yeah, anybody.
He's a big boy.
Yeah. Like 2 packs on each side.
He's Mr. Mellow.
Beautiful name.
Cool. So everybody, just for fun, could 1, 2, 3, would you guys just do your score at the same time? We'll move away. Don't get close together.
I'll get close.
Oh yeah, come closer, closer. Make a triangle.
Not with the horse.
Not with a horse. You're just doing what's left.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Beautiful, you guys. And now I think it's hard to look at 3 people, so could I just see Carolyn and Aunt together? And this time, I'm going to up the ante on you a little bit. It is a duet. Even though you're doing completely different things, you can change the direction, so get really close together. And go ahead and, Carolyn, put your back to him. There we go. And even closer. Thank you. Here we go. And go.
So I'm going to do my part with him.
It's okay, you can keep going.
Am I
Hey
starting?
there.
Hello. Hi.
Now you can just go through
Welcome
it,
back.
and you can use
This
any
is
part of
going to
the
be our
vocabulary you
second
have.
horsemanship session.
So it doesn't have
That
to be in
is
order.
in support of and congruent with our Dancing with Horses material that Joanna has
And I'd
been
say
leading us
dance
through.
next
My
to
name
each
is
other,
Alyssa
not at
Mayer.
each other.
I'm a somatic
Thank
educator
you.
for horses and riders and sometimes dancers and other athletes
You don't have to
who
do
have
it in
nothing to do
order.
with horses. So what I teach is about communication and mind-body integration. So we're going to be doing a horsemanship focused session here this afternoon with Paula and a horse that I have yet to meet. So Paula, if you could introduce yourself and this lovely horse that we'll be getting to work with today, and let me know
That was
just a little bit
beautiful.
about your
That was
history with
beautiful.
this horse, and then
So,
also what
you know
it
that
is that
thinking
you're
time that you had
hoping
right
to
here?
get out of this
Perfect.
session today.
What we say about thinking
Okay,
time,
great. Well,
that's part
hi.
of the dance. So
I
instead of going, holy
this
crap,
is
what do I
Garnet,
do next?
and
It's more
a little
like,
bit of his
I'm here
history.
and I'm
I
thinking.
can't remember if it's 2 or 3 years ago that he and 2 other horses came over from
what?
Idaho. That we needed to buy some more horses, and we found these guys, and so he's
Yes.
relatively new
Oh, so you were doing that?
to Dunrovin, and
Beautiful.
has been
That was
used
great. Good. Can we have the
some.
other trio? Could they just come right
As
in
far as
here?
my relationship with him, and he's a Tennessee walker, all the horses here are. And as far as my relationship with him, I only started working with him this summer.
You can
And
face any direction you wish.
I want to
You do
say
not need
maybe
to face
10
each other.
times
I would
that
suggest you don't make it symmetrical.
been
Perfect.
together,
You're just going to sort
that
of
I've ridden
feel
him.
each other and do your solo.
Mostly in this
And go.
activity this program that we do on Tuesday mornings, usually called Horsing Around, and a lot of that was training on being around horses, and then finally saddling and getting in the arena and doing some drill team, which I actually love. And it turns out the Garnet is pretty good at. So, or we are pretty good at, I guess it would be. And then the last few times with the Horsing Around series, we've been just kind of
Did you do the bump yet?
playing with these soccer balls.
So
they're like this big.
Could you two
and
do yours together?
and just playing around and working with your horse in that sort of
slightly side by
fine-tuning
side, so
way
you can
of
sense
trying to
each
just
other,
get them to do a single
but you're doing your sequence.
thing that they've probably never done before. I'm pretty sure Garnet had never seen a soccer ball before. So, but the first few times, we actually did. I didn't have any problems with him on the mounting block, but the last, easily.
Yeah. So thank you for bringing that up and asking for a clarification. Anything?
I think the if-then versus the mirroring is pretty interesting.
Yeah. It's a very different mindset. Ant, for you?
I think the same thing as along the lines of Paula, that when you're riding, it's important to always let my horse know what is important.
Yes.
And that's partly my preparation, my posture, my attitude, my everything. When we were riding today, and there were some cows down there that Mystery was a little bit freaked about, and it's like, I don't give a fuck about cows. I mean, it's like, we're just going through here, buddy. And it was a simple message, just straight ahead. I don't care if you look or not, but we're going through here. So I think leadership sometimes is just about keeping it simple and keeping it straight. What it is that matters and what is just detail.
Yeah. So I think that's a very interesting response to your question too.
I think I got more or as much out of watching the other people.
Yeah.
Like
You
for
mean on
me,
the imprint part? Or?
all of it.
Yeah.
Like I'm an incredibly visual person, so words don't stick in my head because of my ADHD, but pictures. So seeing, not just doing it, but seeing other people do it was very helpful to me.
Yeah. Or doing it yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, repetitive is key for me.
Okay. Thanks, you guys.
I was also surprised how beautiful the imprint scores were. Like
They
when
were-
we
they were
watching the
beautiful.
trios without the horses. Like it was really like fun to watch.
They were beautiful. And I do want to say one of the things that I thought was particularly beautiful, do you mind if I touch you? Nobody was doing this. Everybody was shaping. That shaping, so that and part of what you want to memorize is the shaping, because that's what's interesting to watch. Very often, we'll do distal end dances, where the distal end tells the body what to do. Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a great afternoon. I don't know what we're doing this afternoon or who's getting coached, but you are? Oh, cool.
What's the thing? Okay, because I'm not involved in that. And tomorrow I told Suzanne I have an appointment at 1.
Okay.
That I can't break, that I made a while ago.